All right, we back at it. 30 teams, 30 minutes. I'm gonna switch it up because I generally don't do 30 minutes if I'm dolo, and I've been dolo for most of these. If I'm solo, so let's go 30 by 10. So 30 teams, 10 minutes. If I'm joined by somebody, you get the full 30 minutes like I plan to do it, but the schedules are just not working out with me and people, and I really want to push this. So I'm just gonna have to go fly solo for a couple of them, and hopefully we can get it working with me being on with other people. But for right now, I'm recording this on a Saturday morning, and I'm going to talk about the Portland Trailblazers. So currently fifth in the West. Uh, last 10 games, 6-4. Both of the last games have been suspended for COVID. And with the Blazers, is all about their injuries. So CJ McCollum, who started off the year um, very hot. Hurt his foot. He's out for 4 weeks. He'll be reevaluated. Nurkic is out for 6 weeks, and Collins is out indefinitely. So the COVID, getting games canceled when you have three major cogs on your team might be a blessing in disguise. So we'll see what happens with them going forward. But another blessing in disguise, another positive that you can take from this situation is they have two very young guys, very intriguing guys at these positions in Anthony Simons and Harry Giles. So we'll talk about Simons first. So I remember reading about Simons about 2 years ago about how Dame Lillard and CJ were just raving about this guy, that this guy is just tearing it up in practice, how he was coming up in trade talks and how the Blazers were immediately shutting it down. And the problem for him that I saw was because of his size, he's a smaller guard like Dame, like CJ, a more ground bound guard, and a guard that really needs the ball in his hands for him to create. And he's not really a catch and shoot type player like Trent Jr. Uh, it was just too much overlapping skills with CJ and Dame. So this is really an opportunity for him to shine. Now, his start to the season has been horrendous. From looking at the stats right now, he's shooting 30 from three, uh, 30 from the field. So, I mean, he's stinking up the joint. And I also, you've heard me talk about this if you follow this, is that I really think continuity and roles really matter. And I just think he struggled to find a role on the team. You had uh, Dame and CJ. You had Rodney Hood, who was a bucket getter till he got hurt. You have Carmelo Anthony, who's a bucket getter. You have Nurkic, who needs the ball. You have Zach Collins. So there just wasn't a way for him to really carve out his role there. With all these injuries, it's a time for him to shine. Let's see what you got. Because they don't really have, while they have Hood still on the team, they have Carmelo on the team, you don't really have someone who can create and who can get shots for others. There's going to be a heavy load put on Damon. He's someone that I think they could ease this load. So I'm guessing they're probably going to start Gary Trent Jr., but I think that this is a chance for you to start Simons and really see what you have in here with him. And if he takes off, you could potentially, good for your team if you want to keep him, you could potentially put him in a trade package. But I think this is a big opportunity for him. Giles, I was a mega fan of his since high school. And the story with him is just injuries. He's had multiple knee surgeries, and it just sapped a lot of the athleticism that went along with how highly skilled he was as a big man. I remember listening to a podcast with Jason Tatum, and Jason Tatum was saying that Harry Giles was the only player that he ever thought was better than him, that Harry Giles was that good. He was the number one rated player in his class till all these injuries, fell upon him, and he went to Duke, and he really couldn't keep it together there. And I was surprised that the Kings, along with the Bogdanovich move, letting him walk, letting Harry Giles walk. I really was intrigued by the play that he had in the limited minutes, and wanted to see if that could portend to something bigger in the future. Now, we'll see if his knee injury will allow him to play heavier minutes. But with the dearth of big men that they have now, with the lack of Nurkic, with the lack of Collins, they're starting Enes Kanter, and offensive player, post player, bucket getter, but not really someone who can defend. So I would like to see Giles, getting these starting minutes. Let's see what he has. Nurkic has shown, excuse me, Kander has shown that he can come off the bench and he still gives you the same production, whether he's a starter or a bench player. So I would like to see Giles with the starting unit and see what he has. There was a highlight of him, crossing over and just dunking on a player in practice. So I just want to see, I want to see him as a starter, see him that role. So we'll see, if he can do that. But, once again, I think this is a blessing in disguise. They have a light schedule coming up. It looks like Knicks, OKC, Houston, and Chicago. So this is an opportunity to, I believe, play these guys and get their legs up under them and see what's their formula of success going forward. Because right now, the season is really ragtag. You see a lot of teams losing games at home that they shouldn't. I think home teams still have a losing record. You see teams getting blown out, but I do think towards the end of the playoffs, as we start approaching the playoffs and towards the end of the season, people are going to be kicking themselves for these losses that they're giving up right now in these games that it seems like the energy and the intensity are not there. So I do think that this is not an opportunity for Portland to, not pass up. I think that they should play these young guys and use this time where they're not playing scrubs, but they're not playing the top talented teams in the league, and try to see what type of team they become to weather the storm until their big guns get back. So also, I mentioned him earlier, but we'll see if Rodney Hood can get back to his pre-injury ways. This is somebody that was really hitting his stride till he tore his Achilles, and we've seen with KD and with John Wall that this injury is not the death sentence that it was previously. So there's an opportunity with him, these guys missing, for him to go out there and show people what he has. I don't think that semi borderline all-star player that a lot of people hoped he would be. I think we're getting a little bit too long down the road for that to come to fruition. But I definitely think he could be a starter. Maybe this is an opportunity for Portland to go big. Maybe start Dame, Rodney Hood, Derrick Jones, and Covington in the lineup altogether. There's a lot that's going to be put on Dame, and unfortunately, this seems to be the recipe the past couple of years that he's had to carry the load to carry the team. So hopefully he doesn't get worn out himself, which is another reason. Go back to my point, Simons. I think this is Simons' time. Let's see what he has as a primary ball handler, someone that can score. Gary Trent is there, Gary Trent Jr., fantastic shooter, feisty player, but not really the ball handler, not really the creator of offense that Anthony Simons at least was hyped up to be. So I think it would be they would be remiss not to give him minutes and opportunities and see what he has. Carmelo Anthony's still there, still getting buckets. Covington and Jones has been a mixed bag with them. But I do think that there's an opportunity for the team to try to see if maybe we can create a different identity. I remember, I think it was Dallas. They had one of the league's best offenses, and they had a couple of injuries, and then they decided, we're going to slow the pace down and we're going to change things up a bit. So, maybe they're a team that can look towards doing something like that. These teams that have bad defenses with the zones, what we saw in Toronto with a box and one strategy, I would be just interested to see a team try to, build their foundation on that, not 100% zone, but have a team where we play an amorphous type coverage every quarter. In quarters, we're changing it up. So, a couple of minutes we're playing boxing one, triangle and two. Then we're full court pressing, quarter court trap. I think that I think that teams should just switch it up a little bit, especially when you are a team like Portland and you can't stop anybody and you haven't had success stopping anybody. Maybe, junking up a defense, throwing different styles at people is enough to muck things up a little bit to make it seem, get timely stops. So I don't know, maybe that's an opportunity for them as well. But definitely, arrow up, arrow down. I think it's neutral. This is a team that a lot of people had going far. I know Charles Barkley bet big bucks on them possibly making it to the finals, and I don't see that in the cards. But this is a very important stretch for them. Once again, this might be a blessing in disguise to really see what these young guys at these important positions, what they can bring. I like them bringing in Giles just to take a look at him. And, now with the injury to Nurkic, with Collins being out indefinitely, is an opportunity to see what he has, and Simons again. So I would say arrow pointing neutral or pointing down if I had to put it one way. It's going to be a lot on Dame, and hopefully these two young players, they can step up and we can see what they have. So that is Portland session number 3. Definitely subscribe, leave any comments, questions, concerns that you have. I definitely appreciate it. Bet of the day every day is on around 3:15. NBA Nightly every day around 9 p.m. Recording, so dropping around 9:30. So definitely check those two out. Subscribe. I do football coverage as well, so look out for that. This Saturday, I'm talking about the 2 championship games as well. And then as the season starts to wind down and we start to get closer to the Super Bowl, 30 teams, 30 minutes for NFL teams. We talk about the NFL free agents, things of that nature. So if you're interested in that, Portland, Pacific Northwest, I want to talk about the Seahawks. So any questions, comments, concerns, basketball, definitely leave it. I appreciate anybody that's out here supporting it. Try to get things at a more consistent schedule. We got some video editing software, so maybe add some highlights into this and make it a little bit more professional. But just want to get things out. 30 teams, 10 minutes, 30 by 10. Get at me.